Welcome back, nerds and noobs, to another episode of the Help Desk Diaries. Last time, I talked about surviving my first day, but let's be real. Questions, they don't stop there. Like I mentioned in the previous episode, I was constantly asking questions and still am to this day. I will also be proud to admit I did once use Google on how to use Google more effectively. So if that doesn't make me a nerd, I don't know what does. Anyway, I'd like to dive into the why behind the how first when it comes to asking questions. So why do we, or maybe just me, feel dumb asking questions? Well, I did some research. Bit of a brainstorm tonight, if I must. It's probably more of a mind map, but I think these are the 5 big reasons we hesitate to ask questions. Number 1, we connect not knowing with failure. From school age, we're conditioned to believe smart equals knowing the right answer. If you get an answer wrong, it's marked with a big fat red X. No one praises you for trying or asking questions, just for getting it right. Why would they? So, over time, you learn that not knowing equals failure. You stop raising your hand, even when you're curious. The education system rewards answers, not questions. So, when we grow up, we ask a question, and our brain immediately whispers, "You clearly don't know. Therefore, you're dumb." But asking actually means you're engaged, not clueless. By the way, I'm not bagging on school. I think it's a very important thing, but teaching styles should be updated to reflect the importance of asking questions and encouraging students to do so in a safe environment, which is what will lead me on to the next thing. By safe environment, I know all of us have probably experienced when we have asked a question and we've been ridiculed or shamed for asking that question. And yeah, I guess that leads into number 2, shame. I've been reading a book on shame, actually. I'd all recommend you to read it, by the way. It dives deep into the reasons why we shame ourselves and how we can better ourselves when it comes to shame. It's called Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. I'll put a link somewhere in the description. Shame is that little voice that shows up in uninvited, like, "Oh, you want to grow? Cute. Let me just sabotage you real quick." Please read that in your head like a teenager, judging you, because that's how I view my shame. There's often an underlying fear that people will laugh, judge, or think less of us, including ourselves. But again, that's the shame talking. Shame tells us, if I reveal that I don't know this, I'll be seen differently. I won't be taken seriously, etc. Which is not true at all, or at least for most cases. This, again, excludes the workplaces that do shame you, which is highly toxic. If that is the case, please leave now. Going on, number 3, one of my favorite things I love to talk about because I'm affected by it dearly every single day when I'm working in IT. Can you guess? Imposter syndrome. Especially in IT or male-dominated fields, asking questions can feel like you are confirming that you don't belong, that you're an imposter. You already are the only woman in the room, or the junior one, or the newbie. So asking can feel like handing people the proof that you're not good enough to even be there. Even though it's the opposite, you belong there and you have the right to ask questions, even if you're a trainee or you're learning. Even if you're new, but you should know some things, it's okay to ask questions about the company itself or your job. It's fine. Just as long as you're not please don't lie on your resume or anything and then ask questions about something you should most definitely know. You'll probably get fired eventually once they find out, so don't do that. So I guess, no, that doesn't lead me into number 4, but I'm going to say it anyway. Pride and perfectionism. We want to seem capable, independent, like we've got our shit together. Asking a question can feel like admitting weakness. And if we tie our self-worth to being competent, it feels threatening. I'm a big sucker for tying my self-worth to competency. It's half the reason I suffer. I blame myself. 10 out of 10. Do not recommend doing this. If this is you, you should probably ask yourself why you feel the need to do this. I know I haven't. It's gone down a dark rabbit hole. But anyway, maybe go to therapy. Okay, number 5. Fear of slowing people down. Where we are naturally scared of wasting people's time and money and resources. Oh, I don't want to interrupt them. What if they're upset at me? Yada yada. Guess what? I don't care. They don't care. Then they're going to forget it next week. Interrupt away. Only in appropriate situations. I cannot stress this enough. Never just interrupt a team meeting to ask a question that could be asked at a more appropriate time. That'll get you also fired. Do not recommend doing that. Should I really be giving advice on this podcast? Probably not. I might get some people fired. Who knows? But yeah, this is another reason why we suffer silently. We Google everything and pretend we understand instead of just saying, hey, quick clarification. Maybe we've already felt like we've asked our 10 questions for the day, but hey, the sky's your limit. Well, 100 kilometers, so let's just say 100 questions if we're talking about reaching Carmen's line. Sorry, I'll stop with the science because that's probably wrong anyway, and the scientists will get me. Yeah, but if any of these points felt like you, those 5 points, I'll reiterate them again. We connect, well, number 1, we connect not knowing with failure. Number 2, shame. Number 3, imposter syndrome. Number 4, pride and perfectionism. And number 5, fear of slowing people down. Don't worry. I've experienced all of those. That was me. Still is to some days, and avoiding these feelings is pretty much impossible, and you will face them head on, unfortunately. But there are ways to make you feel less stupid or dumb, or whatever you want to call yourself when asking questions. First, I need you to do something though. I want you to change the narrative, flip the script, reverse engineer, that's a good word, engineer your way of thinking to this truth. Smart people ask questions. I know this is the truth. Why? Because I've experienced smart people do this firsthand. We all have. Have you ever been in a meeting, room, or even class where there is a teacher or presenter explaining something? I have. I have been in the room where someone's talking and I'm just sitting there like, huh? Not a single word made sense. I even turned to the person next to me, hoping they got it. And no, they were just as lost. We then thought we maybe weren't smart enough to be in the room. Yeah. We wanted to ask questions, but guess what? We were scared. Scared of feeling and looking dumb. So what did we do? We stayed silent. Silent until the one smart person in the room stood up and asked the question to explain this shit in a way we all understood. Thank God. And that person, I just must say, was not only smart but brave too. It is hard enough to stand up in a room and ask a question that can potentially hurt your ego. But yeah, they didn't care. They wanted to understand, learn, and grow. Those people, they inspire me to this day. They don't feel dumb, or they probably do sometimes, but they don't let it hold them back, which is the difference. And I must admit, God, they're just amazing. Thank you for those people out there. I don't think I would be here today if it weren't for them. Yeah, I'm still learning to ask questions without feeling dumb too. But here are some tips and tricks I have found that have helped me so far when it comes to asking questions without feeling dumb, or at least to a point where I feel comfortable enough to ask the question. So, If you're scared of not knowing and then being labeled as dumb, Google first, then ask. However, if it is specific to the person's own knowledge and it's a question they would know, just ask. For God's sake, just ask. You're not going to find out any other way unless you stalk them. Don't stalk them. I'm not saying that. Do not do that. That is a bad idea. Stalking is only good when you're trying to date someone that you know nothing about. But I also don't do that. Don't take that advice. Moving on. Next, phrase the question with confidence. For example, you could say, I'm not familiar with this yet. Could you walk me through it? Or, just to clarify, is this the same as ... Sorry, I should stop making it sound like that. But yeah. Another good tip is to pick your person. Pick someone who is patient, technical, and blunt. I cannot stress being blunt. Why? I have made the mistake too many times of asking the wrong person in a meeting or in person. One time someone gave me an answer so long I definitely aged 5 years. Like my face wrinkles. Actually, no, I'm not that old yet. I'm 20, by the way. I'm young and hip, guys. Ew. Sorry. But yeah, choose your mentor like you choose your snacks. Satisfying and digestible. No, I can't say that. Does that sound... No, it doesn't. It's fine. However, obviously, you can't always pick your person who's giving you the answer to your question. But if you can, choose wisely. And if you took my advice earlier and then you Googled something before you asked the question, you could also say, hey, I checked X and Y, but I'm still unclear on Z. What's your thoughts? Or what else can I do? Lastly, my last fantastic tip from the brilliant bee, me, rhyming. Documentation is key, so take notes. Write down the answer to the question as soon as possible. It saves you from going back and asking more questions. Write it down like you're going to forget it immediately, because spoiler alert, you will. So just do it. Your future self will love you for this, especially if asking questions doesn't come easily to you, like me. So I hope this helped, even just a little bit to someone, and just a reminder to both the nerds and noobs out there, no one starts off knowing everything. If you're asking, you're growing. In fact, this week or even today, I dare you to ask one question you've been holding back on. Let me know in person if you know me, or in the comments if you don't, and yeah, tell me how it went. Was it as scary as you thought? Was the person patient or not so much? I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious to see how asking questions goes for other people. Yeah. So remember, asking a question doesn't make you less capable. It makes you a threat. A gorgeous one too. Yeah, I see you. You've got this, nerds and nerds and noobs. I'll catch you in the queue. Bye.